touchdown. Your Bulldogs just won in overtime. A 2-yard push into the end zone and an overtime victory for your Kearney Bulldogs.
The Bulldog Radio Network proudly presents the Coach Minnick Show on KMO-TV and 102.7 FM, Kearney's hometown radio station. And now here's the hosts of the show, Mike Davis, Jim Dickerson, and Coach Logan Minnick.
And welcome to the Coach Minnick Show. And no, Jim Dickerson did not get a haircut. That is not what you're seeing here. This is Kelly Gentry here sitting in for Jim Dickerson. Yep, as Jim is out today, and we are happy to have Kelly sitting in with us because we knew you'd do a great job. And as many of you know, Kelly has coaching experience in basketball and knows a lot of the kids and has witnessed this current Kearney Bulldogs football team. A lot of those players, a lot of those athletes are guys that you've coached in the past.
Well, a few years ago, but yeah. And I do think Jim, Coach Minnick and I will give Jim a proper haircut when he gets back.
Well, yeah, I mean, I like the sound of that. Anyway, good having you here. Coach Minnick, great seeing you here as always. Yes, 59-0. I mean, you're making it look easy, I realize it's not, but right. We're at a point now where, and by the way, you had mentioned a week or so ago that if the kids win 6 games, the seniors who are on this team will be assured of a winning season for the first time, for the first time since they started playing.
Yep. For our seniors, the last 3 years ending 5-5, so that was one of our goals. We made, we're going to put this together brick by brick, and that's definitely one of the first bricks in the foundation of what we're trying to get the program back to. And again, I think the seniors kind of didn't really like the fact that is their first winning season, but they definitely have higher goals than that. But we made a big deal out of it. We've played 6 games and we've won them all. Continue to push that way, but we've told the seniors the whole time, you guys are going to be the step or the building block to get this thing turned around. Really proud of them. Obviously, in year 1, already getting to 6 wins. Yeah,
no doubt about it. Well, looking at last week's game, 59-0. I mean, Kearney, you all scored 30 points in the first quarter, and I don't know what you say about a game like that. I think one of the things that I noticed is that the kids kept up their intensity level, and it's difficult to do, I think, at a time like this, and then a team that's is struggling a bit to keep your head in the game and continue to work on the plays in what I would call a game speed scrimmage. In effect, is what it becomes.
Yeah, and we told our kids all week. As we've talked about prior, we've got to get better every single week. So that was, I think last week we honestly had probably our best week of practice we've had all year going in. So obviously it sells to the kids and shows them, if you have a great week of practice, it's going to carry over to the game field. And obviously we came out and executed at a pretty high level Friday. So we just got to continue to get better because here in the near future, games are going to get a little bit tighter than they probably were Friday.
I believe that's true. I know, of course, we've got, we might as well talk about it now. I think Raytown South, as I've looked along their season so far this year, they're not a team that's coming in here completely defeated. I think they'd lost every game last year when they came in here. They look good. And they're a team, I think, that you can't sleep on, and they've got obviously some talent on there, and you got to be prepared for that.
I know Coach Harris really well down there at Raytown South, and he was one that took over the Van Horn program a few years back and kind of got it back to some relevance, and he's doing a great job there at Ray South. I know they've got more kids out than they've had in a really long time. He's demanding those kids get in the weight room. So he's turning the corner on those guys for sure. I think they've got 2 wins already this year, and obviously after not winning any last year is going to continue to improve. And they are absolutely much improved over last year's team. So they're somebody we've had a good week of practice on, and definitely not somebody you can overlook. So we've got to be ready to go.
Yeah, Kelly, you were talking off the air about some of the distractions, especially on a homecoming week.
Oh, right. So I was going to ask you if you like playing in homecoming, because we've already had two victories at other people's homecoming. Now you get your own this week.
Yeah. Obviously, homecoming, I think, is kind of like the worst nightmare as a head coach when it comes to the amount of distractions you have.
I thought he might say that.
And you know, and we've preached to the kids all week. You know, our job is to win the football game. You know, everything with homecoming. You know, it's great having the alums back and having the community show up and getting everybody back. But it's the football team's job to win the game because you know everything's going to be surrounded with that, and you know that's kind of the climax of homecoming is the game. So we've tried all week. You know, we've got boys coaching the powder puff team, and we've got the parade, and we've got, you know, I think our kids at times are more worried about whether they get to throw candy out at the parade rather than be locked in and thinking about their opponent.
Well, that was the first thing, because I saw the schedule for the week, and I'm like, man, these guys are going to be busy. And, of course, I have a middle schooler, so she's fired up about the parade, you know. But I wondered about it from the coaching perspective, just keeping those guys focused with so many other things going on. And we have a picture, hopefully we can show a little bit later.
I think we've got a picture right now.
Of that powder puff game that Coach
I think we ought to put that up there, Mr. Producer. Can we see that picture there? How about that? Now, let's see, Coach. It looks like that's you. Wait a minute. That's not you. Standing right there in the middle. Who is that imposter?
Yeah, what's going on here?
Oh, look at that one. Oh, man. That is pretty darn good. That's your twin brother.
Yeah. Drake Clapp, obviously, gave his pretty good Coach Minnick impersonation last night. I really enjoyed it. I sat in the stands last night and just screamed at the kids, "Come on, Coach!" You know, getting to be in the crowd and give the boys that perspective of it.
That's a scream, man. I mean, and it's especially the last one where the two of you are standing together, because that's I mean, at a distance, that's pretty darn good. That's pretty good.
Take a double take there.
Yeah.
That is a scream.
No, but it's that part's been really fun because most of our good majority of our boys were the powder puff coaches, so they really enjoy that part of it. But they came to practice Tuesday and they're like, "Coach, they just won't listen." I was like, "Now you know how I feel every week." But no, that was really enjoyable. That was my first time getting to see the whole, you know, how big of a deal the powder puff game is. So that was awesome. The kids were excited, and it was actually really entertaining to watch last night.
All right, you guys are you're 6-0, which is just a great place to be, and you got a lot of momentum going for you. One of the things I noticed was that. I think it was Casey he's thrown for 475 yards and 7 touchdowns in his last 3 games. And junior running back Cameron Emmons, sorry Cameron, it's Cameron Emmons, I get that right, scored six touchdowns in his last 2 games. And I mean, obviously we've got 6 other running backs or 6 other athletes who can take the ball and run with it and go crazy. But Cameron has really, I think, jumped up to the top of that list of those guys that are just, breaking free behind that amazing offensive line of yours and getting into finding his way to the end zone.
Yeah, Cam's really coming along. I know, like we've said before, he was a little banged up to start the year, but now I think we've got him healthy, and obviously, he does a great job when you get the ball in his hands. He's really hard to tackle. And also, he kind of, being a little bit shorter, he kind of hides in there behind some of those giants we have up front.
I think that's right.
He's hard to find, and then when you do find him, he runs with great pad level. It's like, well, I can hit him in the top of the shoulder pads or the knees. That's about all you can see. So he does a great job with his pad level, and he does a great job also of stacking his blockers and setting up his blocks. So guys up front are doing a great job, but when we get it to him, Cam's pretty exciting.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Go ahead,
I was
Kelly.
going to mention, too, we haven't talked about the guards a lot, and since he was dressed up as Coach Minnick, we've got two offensive guards that are doing a tremendous job inside our great tackles. So maybe talk about the guards a little bit.
Our two guards, Drake Clapp and Cole Williams, have done a great job, two seniors for us. And on all of our base run plays, we're pulling guards on those. They've got to be athletic and move around, and they're getting on linebackers, so they're doing a great job with that. Tyrus Smith is also rotating. He's been our sixth man on the O-line. He's rotated at both guard spots too. Try to build us some depth there, but we're pretty confident in all six of those guys at any point. But again, our guard play has been, those guys do get a little overshadowed, from the height and from the height of our two giant tackles out there. Definitely Drake and Cole have done a great job in there.
Cameron Emmons, we just mentioned Cameron. I was going to say, who was it? It was your one of your tight ends that ended up with a touchdown this week, and why am I missing that here?
Bryce.
Yes, Bryce.
Because you said there were 8 guys
Here it
that
is.
scored touchdowns in the game against Ruskin, so that's a pretty cool
Yeah,
stat.
he had a 10-yard catch, and he's been doing a great job of blocking, and we've seen that. And he's also caught a lot of balls, and he's a guy that I think that can kind of, he's one of those big, tall guys that can post up and sort of position himself to sort of block the defender out of the play.
Yep.
And so it's great to see him finally get one in the end zone, which is a good thing.
We as Kelly said, I think we had 8 different people score Friday, so had a lot of happy boys on the sideline and probably a lot of happy moms and dads in the stands. But again, that just kind of shows how versatile we are about having all kinds of people that can be special with the ball in their hands. And then with just Bryce alone, as the season is going to progress here, he's going to get more and more targets because obviously Manny has had a hot start to the year. So we're going to start seeing some coverage and stuff shifted Manny's way, which is fine with us because we know Bryce is just as capable. He hadn't had the touchdown totals that Manny has, but we're comfortable throwing it either way to either side, to either one of those guys. So
he's a big target too.
Just huge athlete. Does a phenomenal job in the blocking game. I think he's leading all our skill kids in pancake blocks by a ton, which is not usual for a receiver. But he takes a lot of pride in that and being physical. So another huge part of our offense.
One of the things that I noticed when you get to play a game like where you're 59-0 going into the final, really actually the final quarter of the game, that means you get to bring a lot of your young guys in, and I think so many of these other players we've talked about, as the season has gone along, they're becoming household names around here. Who are some of the guys that you're seeing that have done really well at practice that you're able to actually put in a varsity Friday Night Lights position?
I think a good one that is now he's started to play much more varsity. James Shaw to start the year is our tight end, and he was taking a lot of reps behind Zach Grace. Now because we line Zach up everywhere now, it's gotten James an opportunity to get on the field and be more of our true traditional tight end, and he has taken that job and ran with it. So he's been great. We actually gave him a few carries Friday. Those were his first varsity carries on that. And we tried to get him in the end zone. We were down right inside the one there. But he's done a great job. And then young cats that we've been rolling in. Joe Schron's an offensive tackle for us. It's just a sophomore that's really growing into his body and doing a great job.
He stands out a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
6'4", 250 is what you got him listed here. Yeah.
Yeah, he's maybe just a hair lighter than 250, but I told him when he's ready to start, he'll be 250. We actually had a conversation. He's like, Coach, I can't get too big for baseball season. And I was like, well, how much does Aaron Judge weigh?
There you go.
He's like, I don't know, let's look. And, we kind of made an agreement, well, you can weigh what he weighs. And Aaron Judge weighed 280 pounds, so he's like, oh, no. I was like, yeah, we got plenty of room to grow.
That's great.
But he's definitely one. And then I think just overall, our kids, the big talk at halftime was we want to continue to score points when we roll the twos here, and we want to keep that shutout on the board because that's our first shutout of the year.
Okay.
So I know the older guys on the defense were really wanting those young guys to step in and keep the goose egg on the board, and they did that, and we were really excited for that.
Yeah, you can see that. I mean, it's great when the kids come in and you actually have to look at the players on the field and assess, okay, is this the second unit or are these, and literally we can't tell a lot of times because they're playing so well.
Well,
I mean, you really get a chance to witness the depth.
Yeah, and I've seen some guys coming off the bench, and it really does highlight the depth of the team because I'm like, I know these kids are good athletes, and they're coming off the bench, and a lot of times you'll mention there's not much of a drop-off. I mean, it's sort of like 1A and 1B, and it's great to see that, and plus the opportunity for the future, looks really, really solid. The other thing I was going to ask you about that really, the Ruskin game in particular, really highlighted was the importance of a really good snapper. And Jackson Cook and Gavin, you mentioned, maybe talk about that a little bit because Ruskin lost a lot of yardage just on that exchange between the center and the quarterback or center and the punter.
Yeah, like a lot of people take that for granted of, it's just pretty easy to snap it to the quarterback every time because obviously our offense, we're almost 100% shotgun. And then the same with your punt snaps and your kick snaps. Yeah, you don't recognize any of that until something bad happens.
Right.
It's just kind of expected. So Jackson's done a great job all year getting the ball to Casey. And then he's also our short snapper on extra points, which we've been very solid on. And then Gavin Warren, our long snapper for punts, has been outstanding as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking here at rushing yards for Kearney last week, and I see a couple of names that I didn't recognize. One was number 44, Van Grimes, and he had 3 carries, averaging 6.7 yards a carry. Talk about Van.
Yep, Van's a senior running back for us. It's kind of just shadowed by a full stable of running backs there, but does a great job for us. I think he's been our scout team player of the week several times as well. And then he also had a huge catch on third down, because it's hard sometimes for the twos to get in there and move the ball and get first downs, and had a big catch on a screen play on third down and got vertical, and I think got 20-plus yards on that to set the offense up to score there. So really excited for him. Great kid, does everything you ask of him. So definitely took advantage of when he got his time to shine. He got in there and ran it and caught the ball.
And that's awesome that you do that practice player of the week each week, keep those guys motivated. I mean, I think that's another part of the culture that you're building is keeping all those guys engaged, even if they're getting recognized for the work they're doing.
Yeah, I think we do a really good job of letting our kids know, hey, you have to give us a great look during the week, because the team we're playing is going to. So again, there's always kids, lower on the depth chart that would like to play, but I think our lower kids do a great job of just understanding how important their job is during the week, of giving us a great look, and then we try to reward those guys, the guys that stand out, and then just knowing we tell them all the time, if we're going to be as good as we can be, you get the opportunity during the week to play the best team you're going to play around during the week, and we film everything, so. If you start making plays against our offense or our defense and you're in that second group, we're going to notice, and you can earn your ride up with the second or with the first group. So I think our kids take a lot of pride in that, and they just know that we're going to evaluate them all the time.
Wow, yeah, great to hear. We're getting ready to take a break. You're listening to or watching the Coach Minnick Show with our special guest host here, Kelly Gentry. Really great having you here, Kelly. Stay with us. We'll be back with more of the Coach Minnick Show.
Today's business environment is more challenging than ever before. Exceeding customer expectations and staying ahead of the competition make dependable air travel essential to your business. The time-saving convenience of aircraft ownership is a more realistic solution than you might think. Imagine no lines, no waiting, and the ease of traveling on your own schedule. EquityJet is a full-service aviation management company. From aircraft acquisition, refurbishment, crew services, maintenance, and door-to-door travel service, EquityJet gets you where you're going quickly and comfortably. Find out how EquityJet can help streamline your jet travel needs. For more information, visit equityjet.net or call 816-804-7072. EquityJet. Travel is more than just getting there, it's how you get there.
That is amazing. Look at that.
Threw a wrinkle in you.
Oh man, that is just hilarious. Welcome back to the Coach Minnick Show. Your 6-0 Kearney Bulldogs are on a roll, and folks, if you can't feel the excitement, I can't help you. It is really, really fun watching this team, and there's a lot more energy this time of year, especially on homecoming week. This is fantastic because it's festivities all week long. And good to have Kelly in here. This is a lot of fun having you sitting right next to us. Kelly does a really nice job. You have heard his voice, I'm sure, on a couple of the calls as Jim has been out of town. And Jim is a pilot. He's a corporate pilot, so he gets out and flies all over the country. And he's not always able to be the voice of the Kearney Bulldogs. So we've got Kelly Gentry in his stead, and we sure appreciate everything you do for the station. And nice job by you, sir.
I appreciate it. It's fun to be here and get to do this with Coach Minnick today too. So.
Well, here we are. Yeah, we talked about 6-0. I mean, I'm looking at. We've beaten, as you know, the first three games we played this year, Platte County, Fort Osage, and Smithville. We knew, I guess, going into this thing, just reflecting back as we're sort of looking forward, I think it's easy to sort of second guess what might happen. But we do know what happened. And to me, we beat three of the toughest teams in the city. I don't think there's any question about it. And two of those were long-standing rivals. Platte County, I think, it just had our number over these last few years, and we got them 21-14. And Fort Osage, we took out early and with a kind of a trick play. I don't know. I mean, it was something that you saw in an onside kick that was put us on the scoreboard early, and of course the close game 20-19 against Smithville. Smithville always tough, will continue to be tough, but to finally get a victory over them, I think it's just been fantastic. And here we stand with three other games, as we finished, as we mentioned earlier, as we finished against Ruskin 59-0. I mean, it's just a great place to be in, to be able to look down the road, and when you're this far ahead, everybody's got your number, but it sure is fun being on top.
Yeah, and I was just going to tell Coach, from being here in the community for so long with my family, it's really fun to see. You kind of mentioned Kearney defense is back one week, and I'm kind of thinking, hey, Kearney football is back. Maybe talk a little bit about kind of restoring that tradition. You were here before, coming back, and then I'm sure you're hearing a lot of community people. I had people this weekend saying, man, it's just so fun to watch Kearney football again.
Yeah. Obviously, we talked about those first three games, and I told several people, we may be 0-3 and they may be pitchforking me out of town, but pretty fortunate in those games that kids played well. And then these last three, I think we've just done a really good job of just getting better every week, because we know, on the horizon, we've got other teams that are getting better There's a great possibility we'll see those boys in green again. So we've got to continue to get better. But as you said, just the getting back to what Kearney football was, or at least when I was there, it was the expectation was you were supposed to win every week. So we're really trying to get back to that. I've had people in the community tell me I should win the rest of my games already.
Wow.
So
Yeah. No pressure.
yeah. So we'll hope to try to do that. But we definitely have a good group who's playing at a high level.
Yeah, when you mention, I know there are stats, when you say the kids are playing better and they do improve, I think there are measurables, but there are other things that are, I think, a little more subtle that the coaching staff sees. What are some of the things that you notice that allow you to, in a somewhat non-measurable way, indicate to you that the kids are improving, that they're learning?
I think just kind of some of the questions the kids ask really help us. Or, now that they're really comfortable in what we're doing offensively and defensively, when they come to the sideline, they're letting us as a coaching staff know, the little adjustments we can make, or, coach, he's in a 4-eye technique, can we, change this rule, or, just the little things of them fully understanding everything, where they're asking the right questions, or they're seeing the right things, or, they come over and, Coach, did you see, here's exactly what we talked about. And then then being now able to add little wrinkles to like what a base play may look like, as we go forward. Obviously teams are going to game plan as well. The same play week 6, we're going to add a little wrinkle to it, going in. And I think just the ability to add that, and the kids having the full understanding of the O and the D and what we're looking for as a coaching staff, I think it's making us better every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really cool to see the kids have that level of expertise and comfort with the coaching staff to say, hey, this is what I'm seeing, and really empowerment, right? They're
Right.
like, hey, this is a change we need to make. I heard you talking about those guys on the offensive line having the responsibility to do that, and I know you've probably got a ton of wrinkles out of the ham package because we've seen a that was just going to stay.
No,
huh?
we just snap it to Zach on that play and he runs forward. That's the only thing we have out of that hand package. So
We talked a couple of weeks ago. I'm looking at your coaching staff, and I know you deflect a lot of the attention to those guys, and rightfully so. I mean, these guys do a terrific job. Marcus Brinkley, linebackers and defensive coordinator, and I'm looking at Jake Danneman. Those two guys, just for starters. Talk about them a little bit, about what they're doing and how this year is going differently for them.
brought Coach Danneman in. Coach Danneman actually coached me my junior and senior year of high school,
Really?
which he was young then. He likes to mention that I'm not that old, but I think that was his first or second year out of college. Was coached me at Richmond, and then we've obviously kept in touch over that and have been good friends. And then I hate to admit it, but two of my worst losses when I was at Raytown, we lost to Oak Park twice. And he was the defensive coordinator there, and it gave us fits both times. And so I was like, if I ever get the opportunity to bring him over, I know he's going to do a phenomenal job. And then we were very blessed to have Marcus already on staff.
Yes.
So sat down, and at first, I don't know that he was completely open to bringing in an additional, defensive coordinator. But once we got those two together and kind of established what roles would be, and giving them, what's really nice is that defense is their baby, and I just, I give a little input here and there, but it's really nice being comfortable in the game of when the defense is out there, being the guy that calls the offensive plays, of feeling comfortable going over to the offensive bench and making adjustments and talking through things, without having to stand there and just freak out the whole time about, what we're doing defensively. I think that has been huge for us. As a team, because I know early in my first few years as a head coach, I'd need to go over and make offensive adjustments, but I was so control freak, and that I got to stand here in case something happens, when the defense is on the field. So it's been really nice just to give those guys, here's your third of the game. You guys take care of it. And that's just a huge respect to not only those two, but that entire defensive staff is phenomenal. And obviously the defense is playing well, so
Yeah, it shows.
they're doing their jobs on that side for sure.
I'd like to get through all of these guys. I don't think we can do it all this week, but let's just go to special teams and D-line. That's Chris Daniels, and I hear the kids, especially some of the D linemen, they're just singing his praises. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We call Coach Daniels as the special teams guru. He takes so much pride in that, and I guarantee we have the most extensive scouting reports and film sessions and things of that nature on special teams. He has really committed himself to being that guy. Student of the game, he's calling special teams coaches. He's going to seminars. He takes so much pride in that side of the ball. And then also blessed to have him as our defensive line coach. I know if we've mentioned several times, we're rotating 6-7 guys consistently on the defensive line. So he does a great job rotating those guys, and as well as having the second group of D linemen go in there are well coached up. I think we've mentioned several times there's not much drop off. Yeah. You don't know which guys are the first three and which ones are the next three.
And they're fresh through the whole game.
And they're fresh. So he's done a phenomenal job with those. We're definitely blessed to have Coach Daniels here, and obviously he was here the first time. So he was a good kind of bridge when this whole thing came about, of being able to talk with Chris about, kind of where the staff stood and what we had, and, definitely talked to him prior to getting hired about the roster and, things that he thought we could do. So he's been a blessing to have for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. It's great to see. In fact, Jim and I noticed, I think, on the very first game against Platte County, that you were rotating a ton of players on defense, and it keeps them fresh, and I think that helps a lot. In fact, it sort of brings up a question. I think that a lot of you see it on Sundays where a player might tap his helmet and say, "Hey, I need a break. I need a rest here." Yep. Is there a signal you guys have that and you allow that so that they?
Yep.
Yeah.
We make sure to tell our kids, if you're tired, let us know. And we do the same with the helmet pad. Let us know, we'll get somebody in there. And I think it takes a while for those kids to understand that's not you being mentally weak or being soft, or it's really putting the team before yourself when it comes to that point of, if I'm tired here and I may only be able to go 70%, when I can get a fresh body in here who maybe I'm a little bit better player than the person coming in for me when I'm 90%, but at 70%, my backup can definitely give a better rep than what I can for a couple of plays here.
Yeah,
it's kind of the new school versus old school thinking on some of that, right? It's different than it was 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah, and I think obviously we try to platoon everybody offensively and defensively and rotate a bunch because it keeps your kids healthy. Keeps them more fresh, and then as the season progresses here, and when we get into playoff time, you may see less rotating and more of the main guys. But we at least know at that point we've kept them healthy. We've taken snaps off their bodies so that we can go on a playoff run.
Yeah, absolutely. We were talking about special teams a little bit, and I was thinking about this when we were talking about Coach Daniels as well. Another player to highlight would be Joe Marshall as a punt returner, because I'm thinking that has to be one of the worst jobs. You've got you're looking straight up in the air. You've got 11 guys wanting to come down and take your head off. You got to field the ball, and then especially when those can be big momentum changers. And maybe talk about that a little bit.
Oh yeah, you've got to be a little bit of a different cat to be back there and catch those. At times there's even guys that do not have the best hands on the team, but are the best punt returners because they're just fearless, and they understand. It's kind of like when the game is on the line, that's the guy you want on the hands team, or it's just a confidence thing. And Joe does a great job. I think he's done that now for 3 years now. And he's very smart about it. He's not overly selfish of, I'm not going to fair catch this and try to get yards. He's reading the defense, and if the fair catch is there, he's going to catch it. And just give us the football there, because I think you see a lot at the high school level of that ball bouncing around back there and adding 20, 30 yards to punts. And and Joe does a great job of fair catching it when it is a bad kick or when he doesn't have a chance to we call it the hidden yardage of, we got to win the hidden yardage game throughout the game, and there's a lot of those that Joe helps us out with.
And like you said, you kind of take some of those things for granted until you're playing someone and you see them struggle with that, and you're like, wow, that's a huge game changer.
Yep.
So,
yeah, as I look at some of the box score, I noticed here Zach Grace opened up the game last week with a 28-yard touchdown run, and I look at a player like Zach Grace and you think you could feature him on a team like this. And you mentioned it before about some of the ball carriers in particular, some of the guys on offense. You could feature any of those guys as your starter and really make sure that they've got the ball on every down. But it's funny when you look at an athlete like that who is participating and is doing some great things down on the field, one of which in Zach's case is he's blocking. And I think the sort of selfless level of play that not just Zach, but other players on the team that I've noticed are doing things that you may not even be, on the camera. Right. I mean, as the plays are unfolding and so forth, you may be on the other side of the field from where the ball carrier is, yet they're all out there participating in ways that are more nuanced and in ways that help this team to win.
Yeah, I think we do a great job as a staff of recognizing, pointing it out in our film sessions or, getting our kids to watch the football game without just watching the person with the ball. Mm-hmm. We made it funny this week. Zach ended up being our offensive player of the game or player of the week this week. And I said, well, anytime a guy averages 28 yards a carry in a game, he should be the offensive player of the game, which he only had the one carry for 28 yards. But so that we sold it that way. But he did such a great job without the football last week. I think he had 5 or 6 pancakes in the 25 plays. I think he played offensively. So again, and we've talked about him being unselfish because. In a lot of other schools, he would probably have, 40 carries a game right now, and be one of the leading stat leaders, in the city on a lot of things. But he's just a great young man. He just wants to win. He doesn't care who gets the credit. He just wants to win ball games. And
Zach's having a good week. He was the homecoming king, recognized this week as the homecoming king and the offensive player of the week. So it's like best week ever for Zach. And the interesting thing, I was going to talk to you, kind of transition on that, because like Zach or Carter, some of these guys, and I'm sure there's other guys that are getting college looks.
Yep.
And so, even those level guys are being very unselfish, team first guys. Maybe talk about a little bit about, some of the guys that are looking to move on and play, or kind of how you deal with that process maybe throughout the season of college coaches contacting you, that type of thing.
My phone's definitely been hot, with the college coaches, especially, when you get a team that's undefeated and 6-0, you're starting to get more attention than what you may have, with a middle of the road record. So we have coaches reach out every week. My mailbox every week is full of letters from colleges, and that's not just your Carters and your Zachs. We've got several seniors who are going to have the opportunity to play at the next level if they'd like to. So that's been awesome. A really good thing we have going now as well is we truly believe in the student athlete. I think all of our seniors are 3.2 GPAs or better. So definitely something with, not all our kids are going to be Division I players. So when you get to the D2 and the NAIA levels, they get almost sometimes just as much academic money as they do football money. Wow. Really praising that or preaching that to the kids of, football, yes, can be an alley for you to get your college paid for, but your academics is going to pay for just as much at several places that are below, the big Power Fives that you see on TV. We'll have several seniors with that opportunity. And again, we know coaches all over the area, so the phone has melted several times of send me your kids, send me film, and I think that that just comes with having open communication with college coaches. I think another thing we've always done is being honest with coaches about what levels we think certain kids belong at. Because if you go in and oh, I've got 17 Division I kids, and then you get the coaches over there, and there's really only 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Those coaches may not come back and see you again. So being open and honest with not only the coaches but your kids as well of, here's kind of where we think you fit, which is sometimes a hard conversation because, times mom and dad know he's going to Division I, and at times, we give our opinion of, from our experience, here's kind of where we think he fits. Obviously, we're never going to shoot down a kid's dream, if they think they're that level, but just open communication, and we've got a lot of college coaches looking at our kids right now.
Man, that's exciting. Great to see that you're in a position now, I think, to have so many colleges noticing this program, and I think all of the kids, and of course to know that they're coming from a terrific school system here in the Kearney, Missouri School District. You're listening or watching the Coach Minnick Show. I almost did it. I stopped myself. I knew it was going to happen. My little sign
you can't blame it on Jim.
I know it's off. My sign is on the other side of the tripod there. I noticed, Brian. But oh my gosh, stay with us. More of the Coach Minnick Show is coming up.
Migraine headaches, the throbbing in your temples, the pounding in your forehead, extreme sensitivity to light and sound. Your neck feels so tight it could snap off. Oh, the debilitating pain.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Strathman with Kearney Family Chiropractic Center, and I've been practicing chiropractic health in Kearney for over 22 years. When you come to see me, I identify what's wrong and determine if I can help you. If I can, I create your personalized plan for relief.
When you have pain, you can make an appointment by calling 816-628-6738, or you can visit the office at 301 South Platte Clay Way, Suite B in Kearney. Kearney Family Chiropractic Center. Heal yourself.
Hello, Kearney. It's homecoming. How exciting is that, Bubbles? Do you think we're up for another win? I think so, with the streak that they're on. I'm Melinda Strathman, here with Bubbles the Weather Pug, bringing you your game day forecast. Kearney versus Raytown South. We're looking at kickoff, a chilly 55 degrees, mostly cloudy. And then as you're heading home after the homecoming festivities, a cool 47 and partly cloudy. I'm Melinda Strathman, here with Bubbles the Weather Pug. Have a wonderful homecoming and be safe out there.
Today's business environment is more challenging than ever before. Exceeding customer expectations and staying ahead of the competition make dependable air travel essential to your business. The time-saving convenience of aircraft ownership is a more realistic solution than you might think. Imagine no lines, no waiting, and the ease of traveling on your own schedule. EquityJet is a full-service aviation management company. From aircraft acquisition, refurbishment, crew services, maintenance, and door-to-door travel service, EquityJet gets you where you're going quickly and comfortably. Find out how EquityJet can help streamline your jet travel needs. For more information, visit equityjet.net or call 816-804-7072. EquityJet. Travel is more than just getting there, it's how you get there.
All right, we're back, and with the Coach Minnick Show, and I think we're going to talk about this week's Stables Player of the Week, and that's Cale Conway on defense. And a terrific job by this young man. I spoke with him, I think it was after the Smithville game. Yes, it was. Pretty sure it was, because I think I was sort of amped up. I mean, in a way that I was
understandable.
Yeah, and he was just as calm and cool as he could be, and said all the right things. And he's just a great kid. I've spoken with his parents, and his dad's a terrific guy. In fact, his dad provided some of the video footage that you've seen today, and just helps us out at in any given time. But Cale is, aside from being a terrific athlete, I think he just sort of embodies many of the young men that we see on this football team, and how much fun it is to see these guys succeed at something like this that has ripples throughout the community, and that is Kearney Bulldog football. And I think you're doing a great job of bringing back the tradition of winning and the enthusiasm that this city might perhaps have been missing a little bit of.
Yeah. Obviously, Cale's a great player for us. He was one of our returning all-conference players from last year. He's also our lone senior there on the defensive line. So he's definitely the leader of that group, and is getting better every week. I think he's learning, gap sound and where his fits are. I think our kids are really getting coached up on where they need to be at what times. And he's been in the discussion for Player of the Week several times.
Yeah.
So he's continuing to get better and better, and is a great player for us.
Yeah, he's a load too. I mean, he's a big kid, and I think he's got that size for a defensive lineman, and just the proper build. Yeah,
and he's a great baseball athlete as well. He's actually committed to go play baseball.
Oh, wow.
After high school. So, again, another example of us being blessed to have multiple sport athletes.
Yes.
With the baseball kids playing both. But again, as you said, he's a big athlete. He's a big body, but he's also athletic enough to play baseball and, get around the bases and play in the field. So, again, blessed to have him, and he's a good player for us.
Yeah, it just kind of shows the way the game has changed. I think I heard some guys talking on one of the local sports talk stations that they said that if you watch NFL football film from 1960 and earlier, it's unwatchable because it was a different sport. And we look at all the skill. You think about skill positions. Well, they're all skill positions now, and you see athleticism and agility, and guys that even though they, like Cale, they might be a big guy, but still they've got all the great footwork and the ability to do what needs to be done.
Well, and Coach, talking about multi-sport athletes, I mean, I think that's been something that Kearney's done a really nice job of, having guys playing a lot of different sports, and I know are a big fan of that as well. And one of the things we were talking about off air is one of the unique things with high school football is that a winning football program can really bleed over into your other sports.
Right.
I don't know what your experience with that has been, but maybe talk about that a little bit.
I've and actually he was Todd White, that was our superintendent here.
Yeah.
He was my superintendent at in the North Kansas City School District when I taught there. I think he had the old quote of saying, when he was at Harrisonville at the time, when the football team got good, they could pass any bond they wanted. Test scores went up. It's a community feel of, the football team's good, the whole school district's doing good. And there really is some science behind that, or at least seems that way. And then with the other sports as well, our girls, like several of our girls' sports, have bought into the banners up mentality we've talked about. I believe volleyball and softball both can clinch conference championships tonight. So the girls, I've got them in weights class, and we had them in weights all summer. They're like, "Coach, banners up!" So,
nice.
So because we've told them, you win a conference championship, it goes up on the banner in the gym, and it's there forever.
Yeah.
And nobody can ever take that away from you. So, I think that banners up mentality is kind of spread throughout that. But
that's really cool.
So just not just the football team, but I think all of our fall sports have really got it going right now.
Yeah. One of the things we've talked about before on this show is we refer to you as Judge Minnick down on the field, because you come from your dad was an official, a referee.
Yep.
So he knows the high school rule book and so forth. Well, court is now in session, and one of the things that we've seen is that we wonder a lot about pass interference at the high school level, and I think there are some misconceptions, some of which you and I spoke about before the show. Let's just talk about what the high school rules are surrounding pass interference.
Yeah, it's definitely different than what you see on TV on the weekends, because I know you always hear about the 5-yard rule. In high school football, you can have contact at anywhere on the field as long as the football's not in the air. So you'll definitely see, I think that's something that's fans don't always see as well. It's like, he's all over it. Well, the pass never went up or the ball was never in the air. We preach to our defensive backs and linebackers to be physical, until the ball is in the air, because, it's at our level, it is legal. And then I know another one that's always asked about is face guarding. Well, we don't have that at the high school level. The kid never has to look back for the ball as long as they're not making contact. They don't ever have to turn and try to make a play on the ball. It's a little different.
It is,
but when you understand it, it kind of makes it harder at times to score points on offense. With there being no face guarding and them being able to be physical with your receivers all over the field.
Right, I think that's true, and I think I know I personally have made comment on the air during a game where I thought, wait a minute, and I'm watching the NFL and I'm thinking they're getting mauled, and I mentioned it to you early on. I think over there at Minnetonka, we had a couple of plays that it just looked like, well, why in the world that the official was standing right there? He should have thrown the flag.
I was thinking the same thing, because the Minnetonka game, I was on the sideline in the first half, and maybe I shouldn't have said a couple of those things that I did.
This is just more of what you can learn right here on the Coach Minnick Show. So much to learn. Kelly, I know you had a couple of other things there, or not?
One of the things I was going to ask Coach about is just, we kind of talked about it, but the pride in the community, and it's just been so fun to watch, and it's bleeding over to other sports there. We had the picture of the player dressed up like you. Yep. Any other fun things that you've experienced so far since coming back to Kearney here? We're only halfway through the season maybe, and I was just curious about any other things like that behind the scenes.
I know, what is it? I think it's called the Urban Edge here in town. I've heard a rumor that they make these little stuffed gnomes, and I've heard there's a Coach Minnick gnome coming out. So I'm really excited for I'm going to call it an action figure.
I love that.
Coach Minnick action figure, but apparently it's going to be big and fluffy. Just fun stuff like that. The Minnick to Win It shirts were really fun that you kind of see everywhere. I don't know if she knew exactly what she was doing when Minnick to Win It kind of put a little pressure.
Right.
A little pressure on us. But just fun stuff like that. I can't go really anywhere in town now without somebody kind of, that's the coach, or coming up and introducing themselves, which has been awesome. Hopefully it continues that way, instead of, oh, there's that coach.
They turn their back on it.
But no, great community here that really supports their football team, and obviously when the football team's playing well, it has added excitement, from all levels.
It sure does. We've got just a few minutes left here. I'm just thinking, I look at Raytown South, and we saw them come in here last year, and they were just broken down, and it was sad to see that and their team really didn't. Parents didn't travel well, and I get it. It's a long way and all that, but I don't see that in this Raytown South team. And I know we talked a little bit about them early on, but I think this is one of those times, especially coming off of a big win, and I think some of the things we talked about with the seniors having a winning season and those things. Just be a coach right now and tell me, we can't sleep on these guys.
No, absolutely not. I think you'll see an improved Ray South team. You'll see, I think they've almost doubled the amount of kids they have out for football. Wow. Coach Harris and I have talked all week, and we normally talk throughout the season, and I'm like, where did you find all these? You'll see some giant kids. They have some monster kids on the line of scrimmage, and
really?
that, when I was at Raytown and we played them, we didn't see kids like that from Ray South. And he's like, well, they've been walking the hallways the whole time. We just have loved them up and got them out for the team. So it will not look like the Ray South team that you guys probably saw in the years previous, because they do not look that way on film. And again, that's credit to Coach Harris of demanding those kids are in the weight room down there. So they're bigger, stronger, and faster than they've been in a while. And they definitely have kids all over the field that at any given moment can score. So we've got to do a great job leveraging the football and keeping it in front, and forcing them to, drive the football down. When they do have success, we tell our kids, you just got to have it tackled. Make them snap it again. Make them snap it again is a thing we preach defensively all the time. Because you never know what may happen, if you make them snap it again. Platte County would be a great example of that.
Yeah, exactly.
They had the interception right before half, and which was our offensive kids, but we tackled him before he got in the end zone. If we can make them snap it again and stay in front, I think we've got a decent shot this week.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Kelly, nice job. Great having you here as always. Yeah,
It was fun being Jim's backup. Thanks for having me.
Well, you found out that this isn't that hard after all, is it? I always say
there's a lot going on in here.
Yeah, well, a monkey. I say a monkey could do this, and we're proof of it.
Right.
So nothing to it. But Jim will be back next week, of course, and Jim will be here on Friday night, right, Brian? We're not. Hey, sakes, Shayna, thank you. By the way, Mr. Producer, show yourself. Show yourself. Yeah, there he is, right there. That guy does all this. He's so silent about what he does in here, and there's so much of it. That's right, tomorrow night, game day. That is it, and it's homecoming, as if you didn't know already. Kearney hosting the Raytown South Cardinals, and should be a pretty good game, I have no doubt. And we saw the weather just a minute ago, and I think it's going to be in the, looked like the upper 40s then during the game. Yep, shaking his head, yes, yeah.
Football weather.
Yeah, that's what I love. Yeah, the football weather, and I guess we may have our window closed up there in the booth. I don't know. We'll see. Brian sweats a little bit. He gets nervous when no, he's not nervous at all. He says, all right. Coach, thank you so much for being with us today. As always, we appreciate you coming in here and sharing the fun, and we're having a great time. 6-0 Kearney Bulldogs, and hopefully next week when we see you, it'll be 7-0. Thanks so much for being with us on the Coach Minnick Show.